What's going on, guys? Drew here from Matsu Pew Pew, and today I have a product comparison video for you. The generous folks over at Sharprock sent me their precision angle knife sharpener. They asked me if I'd be willing to compare their knife sharpener to Worksharp's precision adjust knife sharpener. This is this one right here. Of course, I told them I'd be more than willing to do the comparison for them. So let's go ahead and unbox each of these sharpeners, see how easy they are to set up, how easy they are to use, and then we'll get to sharpening some knives. All right, guys, up first we have the Sharprock knife sharpener. They got some styrofoam on their stuff. And some parts. We place the main body, which is this piece, onto the base. Now underneath we have 4 spots. We can put some screws. All right, those are in. Go ahead and open up this case. I'm assuming that this just goes. So that was super simple to set up. We're gonna go ahead and set this aside. I'm gonna unbox the Worksharp. There is the base. Here is what I'm assuming is the main body. So right off the bat, the packaging, the box itself is decent, but the inside is just the flimsy plastic, whereas the Sharprock had the foam packaging inserts to hold everything in place. The front goes in just like that, and it just kind of snaps into place. So there's a little bit of movement, a little bit of wiggle room, unlike the Sharprock, which is screwed in and tightened down. The Sharprock has 5 stones. The Worksharp only comes with 2 sharpening stones. And it also does have the ceramic owning stone as well. And it's magnetic. But everything on the Worksharp seems to be like magnetic in some sense. Just like that. All right, guys, looks like I have it all set up right here. It's a little flimsy if I'm being honest. Right off the bat, you can notice the Sharprock is a lot larger in the base compared to the Worksharp. That's going to promote some stability while you're sharpening larger knives. Another thing to note, the adjustment knobs on the angle as well as the clamp for the blade are much larger than the ones on the Worksharp. So one thing that I can see right off the bat between the 2 angle selections on both of these sharpeners, the Sharprock screw in here that adjusts the angle has way more threading compared to the Worksharp. You'll be able to fine tune your angles probably into the decimal points. Whereas the Worksharp's adjustment screw here, it's just kind of large and clunky, and you may not be able to be as precise. It is nice that they do give you smaller hash marks so you can do in between these sets on the left. So there you go, guys. There's the Sharprock and the Worksharp set up and ready to start sharpening knives. So real quick, guys, before I start sharpening some knives, each of these systems each comes with a user's how-to guide. It gives you what angles are typically used on what kind of knives and what process to use for their sharpening systems. So right here I have a few of the knives that I'm going to try to sharpen. I have some kitchen knives. Next I have some butchering knives. Next I have 2 fillet knives. And lastly, I have 2 different pocket knives that I carry with me at all times, usually one or the other. So let's go ahead and get these hooked up and we'll go ahead and sharpen these. So according to Sharprock, kitchen knives, Western style, it says 20 degrees. And actually I do need to check the angle. Let's just see how accurate this is. So I'm just gonna place this on top of the blade. It's showing 20.1 degrees, 20.2, kind of fluctuates, but not bad at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this sharpened up. All right, guys, there we have it. I've gone through 5 different grit stones and a ceramic stone, and it feels significantly sharper. Let's go ahead and move on and use the Worksharp. Now remember, this only has 2 different grits, 320 grit and the 600 grit, and then it has a ceramic stone as well. If I can get it to go in. Oh, falling out. Again, we're gonna set the Worksharp to 20 degrees, showing roughly 22.2 degrees. So it's off. gonna go ahead and flip it. I've done roughly 4 to 5 passes on each grit for the other one. That's what I'm gonna try to keep doing here. So it definitely did do some decent sharpening. It does feel a little sharper. Like I said though, not having the lower grit stones like the Sharprock does, I was not able to take as much of the material off the edge that I wanted. All right, so we'll go ahead and give this one the paper test as well. It almost did it. It almost made it all the way through. But unlike the Sharprock knife, which I had 5 different grit stones to use as well as a ceramic, just at face value, the Sharprock wins that contest. Look how sharp that is compared to the other ones that were being torn. So not to bore you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get all these other knives sharpened up right now and test them all out, and I'll give you my verdict when I am done. Alright guys, so I've sharpened 4 knives with each of the sharpeners. I have to say each one has pros and cons, to be completely honest. One of the pros for the Sharprock, obviously, you have a variety of grits. So if you have blades that need a whole new edge put on them, you can start at the 220. Or if you have blades that have a decent edge, they just need to be resharpened, you can start at the 4 or the 600 and work your way up from there. So this system on the Worksharp doesn't do a whole lot in my opinion. The 600 can get knives sharp, not as much as the 800, even if you had 1,000 grit stone. I was only doing 4 to 5 passes on each side of the blade for each grit for both of these systems to keep them fair and consistent. I could tell significantly at the end of sharpening all these knives that the Sharprock does a lot better job progressing from each grit. So that is one of the cons of the Worksharp, is their stone system, or lack thereof. Now, some of the other pros of the Sharprock's base does lend it to being a little more stable compared to the Worksharp, which is a little smaller. Now, both of these systems are fairly simple to use. If you were a first timer with knives and you were wanting to put new edges on your knives, I would recommend the Sharprock. It does give you a better selection of grits. Whereas the Worksharp, I could see having something like this in my camper. It's quick, it's got everything contained onto one, I'll call it the grit system. So you're not having to carry around 5 or 6 different grit stones to do your sharpening on the run. Plus, if you were a beginner to open up either of these boxes and you were to see the Worksharp's grit system here and you're just looking at it, rotating it, you wouldn't really understand what to do. These grits look fairly similar in grain. There's not a lot of deviation from them. So you might accidentally start with a 600 and move down to a 320 and, reverse engineering your edge on your blade. Now, as far as actually sharpness of the blades goes, I'll just run through real quick all of the ones from the Sharprock versus the Worksharp. Here was the fillet knife that I selected for the Sharprock, and it's cutting pretty decent. Next up is the long butchering knife that I have here, straight through. You guys kind of saw the kitchen knife that I did earlier. I'll do it one more time. Comes right off. This blade specifically becomes very dull. It's the most used one that I have. I could actually probably spend a little more time on this one. I don't think it's quite there yet. It did make a pretty solid cut. I didn't go all the way through. Still very impressive for as much use as that blade has gotten. Next up, we'll do the Worksharp. So this was the kitchen knife. You guys saw me do that one as I was doing the setup. Did not cut all the way through. Actually, it tore. Next up is the fillet knife. And it actually did pretty decent. I'll give them that. Next up was the butcher knife that I chose for the Worksharp. So we'll give that a test real quick. And nope, it didn't even want to grab the paper. So I could probably spend more time on this. And last up for the Worksharp is another EDC knife that I carry on me. So I'll give it that. It gave me a clean cut. I didn't go all the way through. All right, guys, there you have it. I have set up sharpened and tested both of these knife sharpening systems, and in my honest opinion, if I were to pick one of these and purchase it with my own money, I would choose Sharprock over the Worksharp. Now, I'm no expert in knives or, putting edges on knives by any means. I'm just your average Joe like most of you watching this video. And I know there's always going to be a better system than both of these. In my own opinion, I would choose the Sharprock over the Worksharp, simply because it has a better grit stone system than the Worksharp does. All right, guys, that'll do it for today's video. Thanks for watching. Big shout out to Sharprock for sending me both of these sharpeners to unbox and review for them. If you haven't already, check out some of my other videos. I do some unboxings and some other product comparisons, primarily in the firearms side of the world, not normally the knives, but this is a great breakaway from that. And at any rate, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.